happy to share. Daniel, not to oversimplify, but I just want to make sure I understand what Plumber is. Is it basically just an API you can use to push functions to pull back the data you need for that function, or how is it different than using like the GCP API to call data in BigQuery?
Well, the difference is when you use the BigQuery API, Google has written that API. So you call the API, you get stuff back, right? But if you want it to do something different, something that Google doesn't provide, all right? And a great example of that is soccer, right?
Yeah.
So you send the data, you call the soccer API that's running on Google, and it returns results.
Okay.
So, I always look at APIs as just functions.
Okay.
Now, it's technically probably not a good thing to look at it that way, but to me, that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I always think of them as like data tunnels.
And that's fine. That's a,
Yeah.
but the result of that function is your data that you're looking at, right?
Right.
So the point, oh, Jonas, are you showing the?
Oh, yeah, it's here. So it's super straightforward. There. So await fetch, this is the IP they give you. I'm just giving 2 parameters. Let's change them so you believe me. And then it says post. So I'm not using the payload. It's straight from the URL. I'm sure there's an option to get the payload. And then you have it. Oh,
right.
I guess I didn't say.
And you can do it in R if you use the post method as opposed to the get method. But I don't do it a lot, and I don't want to spend time, fooling around with how do you pass the what's it called?
There it is. See, await fetch. There it is. Method post. Nothing special. Text at the end. Okay. I wonder if.
And by the way,
Jason, what?
Notice that what it's returning is an array.
Ah, look at that. Yeah, it even recognizes the type, the array.
So, and again, this is because in R, everything is a vector.
But no, I think maybe the most interesting question, how do you put this somewhere that is better than what Johns Hopkins is doing, meaning with HTTPS, with the domain and so on? How hard is it for you to move it from here, where you're showing us, to Cloud Run?
So that's where things get a little more complicated. And what I would say is, while you're testing, you should just do everything in your browser, okay? When you switch over to want to use Cloud Run, then we need to talk, because it does get more complicated there, because we need to wrap everything up in a container. And there are tools to do it, but that's more work.
But it's
so I don't want to. What's that?
But it's enormously easier than refactoring the code, right? We know this. But is it a matter of like one day of work, or a month of work, or a week of work?
No, a couple hours. So just to show you, let me take the screen back. If we look, let me go to Google. I'm sorry, to GitHub. And I'm trying to think which is the yeah, I guess it's easier if we go to Cloud Build, or am I not presenting?
You are, we can see it.
Oh, I thought I was before, and then all of a sudden that popped up. So if I go to Google Cloud, and I am in the wrong browser, so let's start over. Let's see. So what I do is I use CICD. Cloud build, and this will build the container. So let's see. Wow, it sounds like we're losing people right and left.
Only the good ones stay.
Oh, this is cloud storage. I thought it was in cloud build. Oh, shoot.
But then, if you don't mind, because we also want to pick your brains on the JSON. I think that's also another point that quite a few people are interested. So what you're going to do is that you're going to containerize it, right?
Yeah, but I just point it to a GitHub repository. There's a YAML file that tells Google Build how to build the container, and it goes from there.
Okay. So should we move to JSON? By the way, this is super impressive.
That's more complicated.
Because at the end you're going to expose something, including the Swagger, right? The Swagger document is going to be exposed as well, right? From your container.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Let me just show you something, a quick toy that I have. So it's if I switch here, if I go to Cloud Run, you can see here, I have one called Random Matrix, where if you so here's the, what's it called? Here's the Swagger docs that you just get for free, but let's do Random Matrix, and here you can see that I now have, it has 10 rows and 40 columns. Actually, it does not look like it's doing it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like it has 5 rows in, but oh no, it's there. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see there's 2 in each one. It's kind of hard to read, but if you were to call that, you'd actually get your matrix. So
it's impressive.
And all I have to do is I edit the code in GitHub, and it automatically gets pulled over every time I make a change. So that's how I handle the GitHub, or the
Swagger.
No, the containerizing is I do it once and then let Google Cloud build it every other time.
JSON?
JSON.
All
Okay,
right.
Perfect.
Oh,
so this use case.
Yeah. Then just in case, I also finished the little homework. If people want to see just a little function that is part of your code, this one is called fun. There it is. You put your numbers, and you get, if you want math RAM. Oh, it's random, right? Not random. Yes. There you are. Right, back to you.
Okay, so let me just, I didn't want to come up with a new use case because I'm actually using, this is eating my own dog food. What the data I have is I have job titles and a foreign coding system. In this case, it's the Canadian coding system, which is called Noc, the Noc code. If you want to look, this is what Noc codes look like. They're hierarchical, so that you have at the very highest level, you'll have something like management, occupations, and then
Daniel,
you can get.
We can't see your screen. I'm not sure if you were presenting.
I don't remember stop presenting. That's the weird thing.
So let me make you presenter just in case. Oh, there you are. Yep, we can see it now.
Okay, so let me make this a little bigger so that you can actually read it. So Noc codes, they're don't look at these as numbers. Think of them as characters, which happen to be numbers, only because 0, 0, and 0 are not the same code. Okay, so you can see as you get more digits, you get more specific. So for instance, you start with management occupations, you add another 0 that just so happens to be senior management occupations. You can see that, it gets more specific until you get to 4 digits, which is a specific occupation. All right. Now, in the US, we use the SOC, or Standard Occupational Classification System. So it's different. The way we number it is differently. Also, there are a lot more SOC codes. So what I'm trying to do is so if I have data that's coded to the Noc system, can I get it over so that it's coded to SOC 2010? So the data that we have is a job title and a Noc code. Now, what people typically do is they have these administrative SOC codes, administrative crosswalks, but one of the problems is that they're not a one-to-one matching system. So sometimes you have one-to-one, but other times you have one-to-many. There are times where you have many-to-many, and there are times that you have many-to-one. So it's not an ideal solution. Also, it doesn't take into account what the actual job title is. So if my job title is going to split into one of these one-to-many codes, then it would be nice to be able to get the specific one, not just this whole group. Another problem that we have is there isn't a crosswalk between every coding system. So for instance, what I'm trying to do, there is no Noc 2011 to SOC 2010 coding system. So what I have to do is I have to hop from system to system until I get a match.
But
so I can go from.
You're going to lose the audience if you don't import JSON.
Okay, I'm just trying to set it up. The problem is that the data is complex. Okay, so but not that complex. So what does the data look like? So I'm sorry, I'm actually in the middle of working, but let's just show you. So every job has an ID. It has what the coder said it was, and it has, I'm sorry, this column here is what the Noc is. So this is the Canadian code. And what this column is what an expert says it was. So there are times where the expert can't tell, so they'll give us multiple codes. So if I were to have this in a CSV file, I would immediately run into problems because when I try to read this, it would think that this value is in the next column over because it has multiple values. Now, some of you are going to say, well, I can put quotes around it or something, but unless your parser understands the appropriate way to do CSV, it's going to give you a problem with that. And also, if you do that, this becomes a string, not a list of values. So if you actually peek in here, let's see if I do.
Are you using JSON Lite?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the link you guys have in the wiki, it's about JSON Lite.
If I actually look at the data frame that I have, you can see that I actually have a list, or actually a vector of SOC codes, not one string with them all. Okay, and this is really the power of not using CSV, is that I can read it in. Now, how do I do this? So if I look at the file, and my data file is actually on Google Drive, if you were to look at it, you would see it's nothing more than a very long row-based JSON file. So you can see it's a JSON array, and the first element is huge. But all I have to do is, it's a one-line command. So let me actually open the hood so you can see what it is. Come on, where's my stuff? Ah, right here. Is I just read the file with the from JSON command. So that's the file where it gets the input is.
Okay, so for Nicole, how easy will it be to extract tables? It's up to the programmers on agility, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's super easy. It's a little slower because it's a big data file and it's a complex data structure, but you can see that it handles the complex data appropriately. Now, if you wanted to make this something like, Nicole has objects within a column, it can do that too. So we could have made this any object. As a matter of fact, if I were to use bigger query, that's exactly what it does. It downloads it and stores it as a table with, when you have records, it actually puts it into a record.
I feel like this might be retreading previous conversations that we've had with it, but is because you can basically download objects that are within a cell, so to speak. Is this also an alternative to method for doing the flattening? Is get it into R like this, and then can you unpack those objects?
Yes, that's the idea.
You can unpack the object, but the question becomes is, why are you unpacking the objects?
Because it's easier analytically.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't, because for instance, I have this function is in.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to know if
Daniel, I think really I've tried this line of argument. You're going to lose it. So I think what Nicole wants to do is that someone is going to write something that takes out of this mess what I need as a table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what she's saying is that in return, I'm not going to bother you guys with flattening BigQuery results, as long as you have a little function that gives me what I need. Is that right, Nicole?
Yeah, and I guess part of what I'm looking at, Zulian, please feel free to chime in with your thoughts on this. So Zulian is doing a lot of flattening for us, and those of you who have been working on the structure for the back end know how complex some of the nesting is, especially for things that we're doing as repeated measures over time with the biospecimens, like the payment options. And there's quite a bit of nesting in the questionnaires as well. And there's some things we're needing Zulian to do because we really need it flattened by rows as opposed to columns, so the long view of the data as opposed to the short view. So Zulian, looking at something like this, do you think it would help speed things up for you, or are you liking the method you're currently using?
I can try it. I just want to say from the analysis, it's really not a simple work.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I show you something though? So I have made this table, and this is would be a fairly complex structure, right? Because this is all what the coder said it was. This is all what soccer thinks it was. Oh, by the way, these are the scores for soccer. This is if you just did a raw crosswalk in. This is my new code that does automated crosswalking. And by the way, notice that there are 841 results hidden in this table. There's, you know, the top 3 codes and the top 3 scores. And this is all in one object. And yes, I can handle any bit of data within it.
So then I think your argument is with Zuliang, not with Nicole. And probably Zuliang wants to hear about data frames. How do you move this JSON stuff into a data frame? Is that right, Zuliang?
Very good point. Thank you, Jonas.
But getting data in a data frame for him would be super easy, because all he has to do is call the Google API and it's going to give it to him like this, right? He's going to get some BigQuery columns that are just numbers like this, okay? He's going to get some columns that are complex objects, okay? And
so this is not a data frame, right? This is a table.
A table is a data frame.
I thought data frames, you have to document the types and a few more things, no?
No.
Okay. Here we go.
So here it is. If you want to see it as a data frame, it's uglier. And now I forgot. I didn't want to do it because it's going to take a while to get my screen back.
Oh, but, okay.
Okay.
So Zuliang,
but
is this okay? I know you want to experiment, right? You want to see it in action a few times first.
Now, probably because he likes Python, he's probably going to want to see it. Say, well, can pandas do it? So the answer is well, obviously it can, because that's how I got it. So what I want to do is here. There should be oh, it's all the way at the bottom. I apologize. Forgot.
Hey, Dale, can I show something?
Yeah, go ahead. Why?
I'll be
Give
fast.
me time to find
So,
what I'm doing.
Zuliang, you still with us?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, here we go. Super simple. So I'm going to start with a piece of, this is from the documentation. That's super simple. So I have 2 matrices within a larger one. And you say, well, that's fine for the JSON people in the JavaScript, but it's not fine for me. So here we go. Now we have it. So if I do TB, see, you have the 2 tables extracted. And it says, well, but I'd like this as a data frame. So data frame, TB. There you are. So you flattened the 2 matrices in a single one.
Oh, that looks good. Yeah. I mean, it's a simpler example, but you can more clearly see. Okay.
Yeah, our studio will work with you. I'm super impressed, and I now understand why Daniel thought one day we would end up here.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I need to hop off for another call. Thank you for letting us record this. I think that would be helpful. And Zuliang will talk a little bit later. I certainly don't want you to have to shift gears mid-flattening, but yeah, this might be something you can play with and see if it's useful in the future.